Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the lecture of Operation Research. Let us have a look to the concepts we have studied in the last lecture. In the last lecture, we have proved an important theorem saying if any two convex sets are there in Rn, then the linear combination is also a convex set. Later, we have studied the definition of convex combinations of vectors. Convex combination of two vectors was known to us is of the type lambda x plus 1 minus lambda y. This convex combination is actually a linear combination possessing two properties. Which are the two properties? The scalars used as the coefficients are non-negative and the sum of scalars is equals to 1. So for extending the same definition to n number of vectors, we have defined a convex combination of vectors and we have proved that the set of all convex combination of finite number of points x1 to xm say is also a convex set. To prove this, we have written a set C to be the collection of convex combinations. To prove this to be a convex set, we have taken two arbitrary points which are actually the convex combinations of these n number of points. Then we have taken a convex combination of these two vectors x dash and x double dash to be lambda x dash plus 1 minus lambda x double dash, and later with some few steps we have proved that this will satisfy the both the conditions imposed on the convex combinations of sets, and hence the set of all convex combinations will be a convex set. Later we have focused on some of the definitions. First definition we have seen under this is a polyhedral convex set, which is nothing but the intersection of finite number of closed half spaces. Convex hull is the set of all convex combinations. Examples also we have seen. Convex polyhedron is a convex hull where the set X is having finite number of points. Convex cone is a cone which is a convex set. Simplex is an n-dimensional convex polyhedron having n plus 1 vertices. That is, simplex in 0 dimension is a point, in 1 dimension it's a line, in 2 dimension it's a triangle. Because point is having one vertex, point is having one vertices, 0 dimension, 1 vertex, 1 dimension, 2 vertices, 2 dimensions, 3 vertices. Lastly, we have seen the definition of a convex function. Convex function is a function satisfying this inequality f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 strictly less by lambda f of x1 plus 1 minus lambda f of x2. We have discussed in detail how this convex function is going to work out. Let us come for today's lecture in which we are going to discuss linear programming problem in detail. First, we will discuss what is the general formulation of linear programming problem. Later, what is the standard formulation, and then the types of solution. Therefore, let me start. As we have discussed already in the formulation of linear programming problem, also in the graphical solution, we faced some of the problems, or we have some of the doubts. No, what are the doubts we have faced while solving the problem by graphical solution method? First thing is why the feasible region is taken like this and whether it is a convex set or not. Later, why we are finding the value of objective function at the corner points only, not at all the boundary points or not at the interior points of the feasible region, and why we are doing so. So let us try to find out the answer to some of the questions in this method. Therefore, first we will try to understand how the general linear programming problem is being written and then how we are going to convert it to a standard one. So the first heading I will write today is a general formulation. The formulation we know of a linear programming problem now. What is the formulation? There is one linear objective function which we want to either minimize or maximize subject to some n number of constraints, and the non-negativity restrictions are also imposed. Therefore, here now what I will write a general formulation is in order to find n decision variables. Decision variables means the variables which we want to find the values. Decision variables x1, x2 to xn to maximize or minimize or minimize the objective function, the objective function z is equal to c1x1 plus c2x2 plus so on up to cn xn. This is our linear objective function subject to the constraints subject to the constraints. Now what are the constraints? The constraints are also having the linear inequalities. Let me write the inequalities. There are m in the general form. We will consider m inequality. So for the first inequality I am going to write is a11 x1, a12 x2, a13 x3 and so on up to a1n xn. It is inequality, therefore there are possibilities either it is less equal or equal to or greater equal by b1. This is my first inequality. Second, a21, a21 x1, a22 x2, a23 x3, so on up to a2n xn. Same, either less or equal to or greater equal to b2. Continuing this, let me write mth one. This is am1 x1, am2 x2, am3 x3, so on up to amn xn. This is either less equal or greater equal to bm, greater equal to bm. And what are the non-negativity restrictions? x1, x2, x3, so on up to xn is greater equal by 0. Okay. Therefore, what is the structure? This is linear objective function. This is linear objective function. These are constraint inequalities. Constraint inequalities. What these are? These are right hand side constants. Right hand side constants, and these are called as non-negativity restrictions, because in linear programming problem the variables we want to find out with the values non-negative. Why? Because sometimes these values are, these variables suggest number of workers, number of machines, number of days, etc. So these values cannot be negative. So this has to be non-negative. Understood? This is the linear programming problem, a general formulation which tells us either maximize or minimize the linear objective function subject to linear constraint inequalities, okay, and with the non-negativity restrictions. Now what the job we are going to do? The job we are going to do is to convert this general formulation of linear programming problem to standard. Now in order to convert these to standard, actually we want to solve this now. Actually we want to solve these m inequalities. We cannot solve the inequalities as of with the mathematical statements. Therefore we will try to convert those inequalities to equations so that it will be m linear equations which we can solve very easily by using the system of non-homogeneous linear equations. Therefore, how to convert the inequalities to equations? How to convert the inequalities to equations? Suppose we have a less equal type inequality. Suppose we have less equal type inequality. What we have to do in order to convert this to less equal inequality to equal to? Can anyone answer?
Add some constant, ma'am.
Yes, add some positive quantity, or rather non-negative I will call. Non-negative quantity to which side? Left hand side should I say? To left hand side. Okay, and whenever we have greater equal inequality, what I have to do to convert it to
Subtract.
Yes, we have to subtract. Okay, therefore both the quantities which we want to add or subtract from the right hand side of the inequality in order to convert it to strict equations are named as slack and surplus variables. Are named as slack and surplus variable. This is point number 2. Today we will cover slack and surplus variable. Means we were adding a non-negative variable to convert a less equal inequality to equations. Okay, so let me write first slack variable. Let me write the definition. The definition is the non-negative variable. The non-negative variable. Non-negative variable which is added to the left hand side of the constraint, to convert it into equation. To convert it into equation is called slack variable. Okay, suppose we have the inequality of this type. Say x1 plus 2x2 is less equal to 3. Now we want to convert this inequality to equality or strict equations. There is something less on the left hand side, that is something slack, right? And that slack we have to fill up by one of the variables, say x3 I will call. Therefore what this x3 will be called, this is called as slack variable, so that it is equal to 3. No doubt x3 is non-negative. What will happen if x3 is negative? If x3 is negative, this left hand side quantity will become still lesser. Right now, it cannot become a strict equation. Therefore, whatever is the slack, whatever is the less amount to the left hand side, that we have to fill up. That's why the variable is called as the slack variable. To fill up the gap, to fill up the less amount, is called as slack variable. Understood? This is what a method we are using in order to convert the less equal inequality to strict equation. Now let me go for the second, which is called as a surplus variable. Surplus variable. The definition is the non-negative variable which is subtracted from left hand side of the constraint to convert it into strict equation. To convert it into strict equation is called surplus variable. For example, suppose I have this inequality 3x1 plus x2 is greater equal by 10. Okay. Now in order to convert this inequality to strict equation, here we can easily observe the left hand side part is having some more amount, a greater amount than the left hand side. Therefore, whatever is that more amount, okay, or whatever is that surplus amount, extra amount on the left hand side, we will reduce it so that it will become a equality. Therefore, the variable is called surplus. Whatever is the surplus amount, we are going to reduce it with the help of this variable. That's why the variable is called as the surplus variable. Therefore, here we can write 3x1 plus x2 minus x3 is equal to 10, and x3 is non-negative. Again, x3 is non-negative. What will happen if x3 is negative again? If x3 is negative, minus x3 will be an addition to the left value in the left hand side. Therefore, which will not work. Therefore, x3 has to be non-negative. Therefore, these are the two variables which are helpful for us to convert the constraint inequalities to strict equation. And once we convert all the constraint inequalities to equations, we can solve those we can solve those equations. Rather, it will be a system of simultaneous linear homogeneous equations, which we can solve very easily. Any doubt with the two definitions, slack variable and surplus variable? The variable which is added on the left hand side is called slack. The variable which is subtracted is called surplus variable. Okay. Now we will go to a standard form of linear programming problem. Whenever we are interested in solving any linear programming problem, first of all we have to convert it to a standard form. Then only we can apply the methods to solve the given linear programming problem. First, let me tell you all the steps orally. Okay. First step is convert all the inequality constraint to equations. Second step, all the right hand side constants should be made non-negative. There should not be a negative value. Third, all the variable must have non-negative values. Fourth is objective function should be in the maximization form. Objective function should be in the maximization form. Therefore, let me write all the steps. Step 1. Okay, for the sake of convenience, we will write that objective function step in the starting. Objective function should be in the maximization form. But sometimes it is given in the minimization also, na? Then what to do? We have to convert the minima objective function to maxima. Here I will write the minima function or the minima objective function to be converted to maxima by using what relation I am going to use? This is minimize z is equal to minus maximum of minus z. Minimum of z is minus maximum of minus z. Let us try to understand how this formula is going to work. For example, z is the function I am going to consider as a loss of any business. Okay. Whenever we are finding the objective function as a loss, what is my aim? The aim should be minimize that losses. Right? Therefore, here the objective function will be of minima type. The objective function is of minima type. Then this relation we have to. Suppose in any business I am getting a 10 rupees loss. I am getting a 10 rupees loss. Is it equivalent to say that this loss, if I want to convert this loss into a profit, I can say there is minus 10 rupees profit. Is it okay to everyone? 10 rupees loss is nothing but minus 10 rupees profit. And if I want to make equal both the things, then how should I write? This 10 rupees loss, I have to write as negative or minus 10 rupees profit. Correct, no? That is actually I want to write 10 is equals to negative of minus 10. 10 is equal to negative of minus 10. Therefore, whatever is this minima objective function of losses is written as minus of maximizing the corresponding objective function. Is it okay to everyone, understood or not? 10 rupees loss is exactly equals to saying minus 10 rupees profit. And if I want to write them as an equality, how should I write it? 10 rupees loss is nothing but minus 10 rupees profit, because that profit will get converted to losses again with this negative symbol. Or in short, 10 rupees is equals to minus of minus 10. So 10 rupees loss is exactly equals to minus of negative of a profit. Therefore, whatever is the objective function, if it is given in the minima form, we have to write in the maxima form by using this relation. Okay. Therefore, one can write it as also maximize minus z is equals to minus min of z. Right? This is the first step of converting the general linear programming problem to standard form of linear programming problem. Objective function should be in the maximization form. Second step we will write is converting all the constraint inequalities into equations. All the constraint should be converted to equations except the non-negativity restriction. We are not going to convert those non-negativity restrictions. Only that linear inequality constraints we will convert to equations except non-negativity restrictions. How we are going to do this? By using slack and oblique or surplus variable. Why I have written and oblique or? Because if the constant inequalities involve both type of inequalities, less equal or greater equal, then we have to use both the variables simultaneously, slack and surplus. Okay. If all the constant inequalities of same type, either less or greater, then we have to use either slack or surplus, depending upon the problem you have. Right. Third is the right hand side constants. The right hand side constants should be made non-negative. Should be made non-negative. Means negative is not accepted. If negative is there, what to do then? If not, we will do. If a negative right hand side constant we have, then what should I do? We can multiply that equation by -1. Right? Here I will write the RHS can be made positive. Let me take it on the next page. The RHS can be made positive by multiplying the equation by -1. Correct now? That is, for example, suppose I have a constant equation 2x1 plus 3x2 minus x3 is equal to -2. What to do? We will multiply the equation throughout by negative so that this right hand side constant will be positive. So what is my constant under consideration? -2x1 minus 3x2 plus x3 is equal to 2. This is the way we should convert the constraint right hand side constants to non-negative. Okay, number 4. All variables must have non-negative value. That is, all the variables should be non-negative. What will happen if we have one value which is not restricted? What to do? Suppose a variable is with unrestricted in sign. It is not restricted. A variable with unrestricted sign can be replaced. Unrestricted sign can be replaced by difference of two non-negative variables. Let me explain how this is so. For example, suppose a variable x1 is unrestricted. right? Means we don't know whether the value is non-negative or non-positive. We don't have any idea. It is not given. It is not restricted. But what we want in the standard form, all the values should be non-negative. Then what we are going to do, we will replace this x1 by the difference of two non-negative values. That is, we will put x1 as x1 dash minus x1 double dash, where x1 dash and x1 double dash both are non-negative. What will happen? Now the value of x1 will depend on the relation between x1 dash and x1 double dash. If x1 dash is greater equal by x1 double dash, we will get x1 non-negative. If x1 dash is less equal by x1 double dash, we will get x1 non-positive. So depending upon this relation, we will get the corresponding value of x1, which may be non-negative, which may be non-positive. But what we were doing, we will replace x1 wherever there is in the problem with the difference x1 dash minus x1 double dash, provided these two values are non-negative. Okay, this case will be important while discussing the duality chapter. There we will come in the with the unrestricted variable concept. Okay, understood how to make the formulation of standard LPP? First, objective function should be in the maximization form. All the constraint inequality should be converted to equations by adding slack and surplus as needed. Then third is right hand side constant must be non-negative. If not, we can multiply by multiplying with the minus 1. Fourth is all the variables must have the non-negative value. If it is not given to be non-negative variable, then we can replace this by the difference of two non-negative. Okay, so let me write the standard form now. Standard form of linear programming problem. Okay, what is the standard form now? Maximize z is equal to c1x1 plus c2x2. Previously we have written maximize oblique minimize. Now we are sure in the standard form we have only maximized objective function. Okay, subject to the constraints. Subject to the constraints. Okay, time being, what we will assume in the general LPP we have all less equal constraints, and we will add the slack variable to each one of them and convert it to the equations. A11 x1, A12 x2 plus so on, A1n xn. Assuming this is less equal by b1 in the general form. If it is less equal, what I have to do? I have to add one slack variable. In all, we have n variables with us, x1 to xn. Therefore, I will call that slack variable to be n plus 1. I am adding xn plus 1. Okay, and this is equal to b1. For the second one, what I will do? A21 x1, A22 x2 up to A2n xn. Again, assuming this to be less equal, I will add one more slack, say xn plus 2 equal to b2, right? And let us do it for all the m equations, m inequalities, say am1 x1, am2 x2 up to amn xn. What is the number of the variable I should add in this mth inequality?
xn plus m.
Yes, this is x n plus m. For first it is n plus 1, for second it is n plus 2. But for mth inequality, this variable is x n plus m, and the right hand side constant is bm. And all the variables x1, x2 up to xn. These are original variables. And what are the added variables? xn plus 1, xn plus 2, so on up to xn plus m. All are non-negative. While defining the slack variable surplus variable definition itself, we have taken the added or subtracted variable must be a non-negative variable. Is it okay? This is the standard form of linear programming problem. Okay, here one can write the objective function with these added variables. Also, what will be the coefficient of that added variable? As there is no role of this added variable in the objective function, let me write the coefficient as 0. That is 0xn plus 1, 0xn plus 2, so on up to 0xn plus n. Okay, and the coefficient of the coefficient of the variables in the objective function is called as cost. You have to remember this word. These are the cost, and these coefficients in the inequality constant are coefficients. Okay, make a difference. Coefficient of the variables in the objective function is called as cost. That a coefficient in the constant is called as coefficient itself. Right? This is the standard form of the linear programming problem, where the objective function is maxima, constraints are equalities, right hand side constants are non-negative, all the variables are also non-negative. This is the standard form we have maintained. Is it okay to everyone? Now let me write the matrix form. Let me write the matrix form of this equation. I think all of you are familiar how to write the matrix form of system of linear equations. Now we will write the matrix form of linear programming problem. Now what will be a matrix form? Matrix form will be maximize Z is equal to Cx. What C is? C is the cost matrix, X is the matrix of variable subject to X equal to B, provided X is greater equal by 0 and B is also greater equal by 0. Now let me write all those matrices. Where? What is the matrix C? Matrix C is a row matrix having how many coefficients? C1, okay, not comma, it's a row vector. C1, C2, dot dot up to Cn, and I have to continue up to Cn plus n, right now? Because here in all n plus m variables we have in the standard form. No doubt the cost of these added variables will be 0, 0, 0, right? But still we have to mention it. So what is the order of this matrix?
1 by m plus 1.
1 by n plus m. Purposefully I am writing the order so that you can understand. What is X? X is the matrix of variables, and this is a column matrix. Okay. How many variables we have? X1, X2 to Xn original, and then added variables up to Xn plus m. This is the column matrix. Is that clear? What is the order of this matrix? N plus m cross 1. Correct, no? Therefore, what will be a multiplication? Cx. 1 cross n plus m into n plus m cross 1.
It's m plus n cross m plus n.
I think you are taking in the reverse manner. This is Cx. 1 cross n plus m into n plus m cross 1. Is it 1 cross 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is 1 cross 1, and which is giving us the linear objective function. And what is that value? C1x1, C2x2, Cnxn up to Cn plus m, xn plus m. Okay. Then what is the matrix A? Okay, I'll write B first. A I will take on the next slide. What is the matrix B? Matrix of right hand side constants. What are the right hand side constants? How many we have? B1, B2 up to Bm. What is the order of this matrix then? M cross 1, right? Now let me write a matrix A, coefficient matrix. What is a coefficient matrix? First row A11, A12 up to A1n, right? Next What is the n plus 1th one? Coefficient of xn plus 1 is 1. Correct, no? Actually, in A, we are writing the coefficients of the matrix, coefficients of the variable. In first column, we are writing coefficients of x1. In second column, we are writing coefficients of x2. In nth, it is coefficients of xn. In next is the coefficients of xn plus 1, xn plus 2, and continue. In the last column, this will be the coefficient of our last added variable xn plus m. I hope it is clear to everyone. What is the coefficient of xn plus 1 in the first? This is 1. What is the coefficient of the same in the remaining equations? Coefficient of xn plus 1 in the remaining equations. Is it 0? I hope
Yes, ma'am.
clearly audible. Huh? Let me write the coefficient of x1 first. A11, A21, dot up to AM1. Fine. Coefficients of x2, A12, A22 up to AM2. Coefficients of xn, A2n up to AM. What is the coefficient of xn plus 1 in each of the equations? Actually, we have added xn plus 1 only in the first equation. Therefore, the coefficient in first equation is 1, and for the all rest it is 0. Right? Coefficient of xn plus 2. Xn plus 2 is added in the second constraint. Therefore, the coefficient in the remaining equations will be 0. Likewise, xn plus m we have added in the mth equation. Therefore, the coefficient in the remaining equations will be 0. This is our coefficient matrix. What is its order? M cross?
It's m cross n plus m.
Yes, this is m cross n plus m. Now you observe, if I take a into x, here I will write, if I take x is equal to b. What is the order of a? This is m cross n plus m. Okay. What is the order of x? N plus m cross 1. Cross 1. And what should be the resultant order then? M cross m, and which is nothing but the order of our b, m cross 1. Is it clear to everyone? Matrix form of LPP, how the matrices are written. C is the row vector, X and B are the column vectors, and A is the rectangular matrix. A is the rectangular matrix. Let us proceed to the next point. If you understand the both standard form and the matrix form of linear programming problem. Let us come towards the solutions of the linear programming problem. What do we mean by a solution actually? Solution means we want to find out the values of the variables such that it has to satisfy the constraint equation and simultaneously which maximizes the objective function. Simultaneously which maximizes the objective function. Correct, no? But tell me one thing, how many equations we have in our hand? M equations we have in our hand. Correct, no? M equations. How many variables? How many variables we have? N plus m variables. How many solutions the system may possess? Question is, how many solutions this system of equation is going to possess? And whichever is the yes?
It's n plus m.
Can you explain how?
M into n plus m.
How? Okay, let me make it more simple. Let me make it more simple. It should not be added in your LPP, okay? I have one equation in two variables. One equation in Two variables. How many solutions do we have? Anyone from the present students? 33 students I have till now. How we were solving this? Is it possible to have a unique solution? First question to discuss. Whether the equation possesses trivial solution. Trivial means what? 0, 0. Na? Whether the equation has a trivial solution?
No, ma'am.
No, it's not. Now let us come to unique. Whether the solution is unique? How many pair I can find out? Where the addition of coordinates is 2. 1, 1, 2, 0, 0, 2. Many combinations I can do, no?
Infinitely many.
Yes, it is infinitely many. Actually, we are solving this by using a parametric method. Let us put the value of any one of the variable as t. If I put y as t, then what is x? 2 minus t. Okay. Then the solution for every value of t gives us one solution, no? For every value of t in R gives us one solution. Agree with me or not? Therefore, how many solutions do we have? Infinitely many solutions the system will possess. Infinitely many solutions. It is not possible to find out the unique solution for the system. Okay. Therefore, here also, for the same conclusion, m equations in n plus m variables. M equations in n plus m variables. It will possess infinitely many solutions. And if the number of solutions are infinite, whether we will be able to check which solution gives us the maximum value. Which solution or which solution vector gives us the maximum value. It is not possible to get this now. So for what we have to stick up, we have to stick up either to unique or finite number of solutions. Okay, and if I want either unique or finite solutions, what should be the restrictions on number of equations and number of variables? Number of equations should be equals to number of variables. Then only we can have a possibility of unique solution or finite number of solutions. Okay, therefore what we were going to do in this section, we out of this n plus m variables, we will put n variables 0. We will put n variables 0. Out of n plus m, we will put any n variable 0. Then how many non-zero variables remaining with us? M variables. Then those non-zero m variables with m linear equations we can solve very easily. We can solve very easily. Okay. Therefore, what is the solution? Solution is any set of variables x1 to xn plus 1 which satisfies the constraints. Which satisfies the constraint is a solution. I am not going to the optimized solution. Okay. Second is feasible solution. What is feasible solution? Whatever is the solution, if it satisfies these non-negativity restrictions, the values which are feasible, values which are adaptable, correct na? Because in most of the situations of a linear programming problem, these variables are number of workers, number of days, number of machines. Therefore, we cannot take the negative values for these variables. Therefore, the solution which is adaptable, which is feasible, called as feasible solution, which is nothing but a solution satisfying the non-negativity restriction. Does everyone agree with me? Solution is set of variables which satisfies these constraint equations. Feasible solution is the solution which satisfies the non-negativity restrictions. Now we'll come to the third point of basic solution, but before that we will write the definitions we have discussed just now. That is the point we have discussed. 5 I have written. Now let me write 6. Some important definitions regarding solutions actually. Solutions of linear linear programming problem. What is the first thing we have discussed? Solution to LPP. Solution to LPP. What we have said just now? Any set X, capital X, of variables, say x1, values of the variables x1, x2, up to xn plus m of variables is called a solution. Is called a solution of LP problem, linear programming problem, if it satisfies the set of constraints. If it satisfies the set of constraints only. This is solution only. Next is feasible solution. Feasible solution. What is feasible solution? Any set of variables, any set x, x1, x2 up to xn plus m of variables is called feasible solution. Feasible solution if it satisfies. Yes, what has to satisfy? Constraints and non-negativity restriction. If it satisfies the set of constraints and non-negativity restriction. Non-negativity restriction. Now let us come to the third point of basic solution. This is what the case we were discussing. Okay, what we were discussing, we have in all m equations and n plus m variables, and in order to get the finite or unique solution, what the job we were going to do? We were going to put any n variables to 0. We will put any n variables to 0. Then how many remains with us? M variables remains. Okay. Then m non-zero variables remaining. N non-zero variables are remaining. Then the system of equation becomes m equations in m variables, non-zero variables rather, right? M equations in m variables. Then what is the nature of a solution? Nature of solution is finite oblique unique. Correct, no? M equations in m variables will have finite or unique solution. Now, while selecting these n variables, we have to take a precaution that whatever the m non-zero variables are selected, the coefficient matrix should give a non-zero determinant. The coefficient matrix should give a non-zero determinant. Suppose these are my variables x1 to xn plus m, and we want to put n variables to 0. Therefore, suppose I have kept these first n variables to 0. Then what is the coefficient matrix of the remaining variables? Coefficient of the matrix of the remaining variables will be this much. Okay. Then what is the determinant of this matrix? This is 1, na? Because it is the identical. For this example I am telling you. Therefore, we have to select m non-zero variables in such a way that determinant of the corresponding coefficient matrix should be non-zero. Why it should be non-zero? Because whenever we are selecting only m variables among this, what will be the effect on this system? What will be the effect on this system? Out of the coefficient matrix A, we were selecting a submatrix of this, and the submatrix I am going to call as B, the submatrix of A. Actually, the original equation is Ax equal to B. Now the submatrix B we were selecting. Okay, what is the order of the submatrix? And here the basic variables I will call, because whatever the n variables we are keeping 0 is called as non-basic variables, and whichever m non-zero are called as basic variables. Therefore, among x we were selecting xb, and this is again equal to b. This is again equal to b. What is the order of that capital B? We were not changing the number of rows. We were selecting only m columns. Therefore, what will be the order of that selected submatrix of A? Is it B cross B? Oh, sorry, it is M cross M. M rows we have already, M non-zero variables we have selected, and in this XB, what is the order? M we were selecting only, right? And there is only one column, therefore M cross 1, and resultant is again M cross 1. Okay, and if I want to write like this, BXB is equals to B, give me a solution, XB is equal to B inverse B. XB is equal to B inverse B. That is determinant, whatever is the submatrix B we were selecting, it should exist the inverse. It should have the inverse. And what is the condition for the existence of inverse of the matrix? When the inverse of the matrix exists?
Determinant should be non-zero.
Determinant should be non-zero. Therefore, here, while selecting the m variables, what is the precaution we should take? The precaution should be, the m variable should be selected. M variables should be selected such that, what such that? Determinant of the coefficient matrix, determinant of the coefficient matrix of the variables, of these variables is non-zero. Of these variables is non-zero. Why the condition is essential? For the inverse. Okay, and whatever the solution we were obtaining by doing this procedure is called as the basic solution. Understood the procedure? Let me repeat. M equations we have in n plus m variable, which gives us infinitely many solution. Therefore, we will keep any n variables to 0, where the variables kept 0 are called as non-basic, and the remaining non-zero variables are called as basic variable. Therefore, the system in our hand will be m equations in m variable. Therefore, the m variables we were selecting in such a way that determinant of the coefficient matrix of these variables should be non-zero. So let me write this definition of the basic solution. Okay, the definition is a basic solution. A basic solution to the set of constraints, is a solution. Is a solution means it satisfies all the equality constraints. Is a solution obtained by setting any n variables among m plus n variables, any n variables among m plus n variables equal to 0, and solving for remaining m variables provided the determinant of the coefficient matrix determinant of the coefficient matrix of these m variables. These m variables is non-zero. Is non-zero. Such m variables, such m variable are called basic variables, and remaining n zero value is called non-basic variables. I hope the definition is clear to everyone. Okay, and how many combinations are possible to find the basic solution? Actually, among n plus m variables, we are selecting any m variables only. Therefore, how many number of basic solutions exist? Combinations I have to do now. Yes. It's a combination simply. Among m plus n, we have to select m variables. These many number of basic variables, basic solutions are possible. No? What is the value? M plus n factorial upon m factorial into n factorial, which is the combinations of m plus n m variables among m plus n variables. Any doubt in the basic solution? If you have a doubt, you can ask me. Next, number 4 is basic feasible solution. Can anyone answer what is basic feasible solution? Basic solution we have seen. Feasible solution we have seen. What is basic feasible?
A basic solution which satisfies the non-negativity condition.
Correct, very correct. In short, we are writing this as BFS. A basic feasible solution is a basic solution. Is a basic solution which also satisfies non-negativity restrictions. Non-negativity restrictions. That is, all the basic variables are non-negative. Correct now? All the basic variables are non-negative. What is the next definition? Non-degenerate. Not next, actually here itself a sub point we have. Non-degenerate basic feasible solution. Non-degenerate basic feasible solution. Non-degenerate means all the values of the variables are positive. Then it is non-degenerate. And a degenerate means some of the values of the variables are negative. And right, a non-degenerate BFS is, or which has, a non-degenerate BFS which has exactly m positive xi. Positive xi. That is, all the basic variables are positive. Next is degenerate. Next is degenerate basic variable. Here in the degenerate, some of the variables are non-negative. Basic feasible solution is called degenerate if one or more basic variables are zero value. Means there is a scope to improve the values again. This is what degenerate and non-degenerate means. Okay. Next is number 5 definition. Optimal basic feasible solution. Can anyone tell me? Yes. OBFS. In short. What is optimum basic feasible solution? Just now we have seen the basic feasible solution. A feasible basic solution which satisfies non-negative restriction is called basic feasible. What will be optimum basic now?
Which either maximizes the objective function.
Yes, it's good. A basic feasible solution is said to be optimum if it also optimizes means what? Maximizes oblique both the possibilities we were discussing, or minimizes the objective function, right? And the last is unbounded solution. Unbounded solution is actually a solution which gives the value of objective function infinity, which is not bounded, or the value of objective function z can be increased or decreased indefinitely. If the value of objective function z can be increased or decreased indefinitely. Such a solution is called unbounded solution. Unbounded solution. Okay, let me take one simple example. What we have to do is we have to find out all basic solutions of the given system. I am taking an example so that the idea will be clear. Find all basic solutions of given system. See, the equations I am taking is 2x1 plus 3x2 plus 4x3 is equal to 5. One more I have is 3x1 plus 4x2 plus 5x3 is equal to 6. Okay. Again, we have two equations in 3 variables, which is where the number of solutions are infinite. So, how many basic solutions exist for this problem? How many variables we have to keep? 0. 2 equations in 3 variables. To make number of equations, number of variables same, I have to keep one variable to 0. I have to select one variable 0. Therefore, what is the number of basic solutions? Out of 3, how many I have to select? 2 non-zero I have to select, correct, na? Out of 3,
yes,
I have to keep 1 0, 2 will be non-zero, therefore the combination is 3C2. What is the value of 3C2? 3. Therefore, there are 3 basic solutions. How the basic solutions is being obtained? One variable is kept 0 and we have to obtain the solution. Therefore, what we will do? We will obtain the first basic solution by putting one variable 0. Therefore, here initially let me put x1 0. If I put x1 0, what is the system of equations? 3x2 plus 4x3 is equal to 5 and 4x2 plus 5x3 is equal to 6. Okay, and here we were getting the solution as x2 is equal to -1 and x3 is equal to 2. This is the basic solution. Is it feasible? Whether this is feasible basic solution? Basic feasible. No, it is not feasible because one of the value is taking a negative value. One of the variable is taking negative value. Now what I am going to write? I am going to write second basic feasible solution by putting x to 0. Okay, you have to write the equation. If I put x to 0, the solution I am going to get is x1 is -2 and x3 is 3 by 2. Right? And similarly, the third one I am going to get is third basic feasible solution by putting x3 0, and I am going to get the values as x1 -2 and x2 is 3. Right? x2 is 3. Because there are three basic solutions are possible. First is not feasible, second is also not feasible, third is also not feasible because one of the values by taking a negative. Okay, what about degenerate and non-degenerate? Degenerate means all the one of the values of the basic variable is 0 value. Non-degenerate means all of them have positive excess, positive or non-negative value. So all the solutions are non-degenerate basic solutions. Is the idea clear up to this to everyone? If you have a doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, in the next lecture, we will go for the fundamental theorems of linear programming problem. No doubts? It's good then. We will end up for today. Thank you for being with me for this lecture. Thank you.